Now we come to the last case, that of two-sided competition. Two-sided competition exists when there are many potential buyers and many potential sellers. Most of the exchanges we participate in involve two-sided competition, because when we want to buy bread, we find there are many bakeries, and also many other people who want to buy bread. And the same is true for cars, houses, etc. For illustrative purposes, I have supposed here that there are 10 potential buyers, but we could imagine that there are 10,000, 100,000, or 1 million with their valuations, and 8 potential sellers with their valuations. In short, what I have done in this case is to superimpose the two previous cases. Let us suppose that these circumstances arise. It is important for you to know that these subjective relationships are not given. They are not fixed. They are not static or immutable. Instead, they change constantly as a result of entrepreneurial creativity and as a result of the entrepreneurial process, which leads us to close a deal. Think of a married couple having a conversation. The wife says, "Oh, just look at the market. The economic crisis, the stock market. That's it. Tomorrow you go straight to the stock exchange and you sell our stock in such and such a company." "Yes, dear, I'll do it tomorrow." The next day, the husband arrives at the stock exchange, either in person or he makes a phone call, it makes no difference, and he realizes circumstances have changed, and instead of selling the stock, he buys more. When he gets home, his wife asks, "How did it go? Did you sell the stock?" And he says, "No." "You didn't sell it?" "No." "Then what did you do?" "I bought more." "What? I'm going to kill you!" The point is, information was lacking. Here we make assumptions for purely illustrative purposes, so we see how the process works. But the actual entrepreneurial process of discovering the price that will be set in the market changes the information of the people who form part of it. If A is willing to buy a horse for 300 monetary units, and today he says, "I'm willing to buy the horse for 300. Here are the 300 units. Let's go. I'm paying the 300. There you go. There you have the 300. Well, if all these potential sellers are present, they'll all be getting anxious. Yes or no? They are all willing to sell it for 300. Am I right? So, before the deal closes, BG will say, "No, I'll sell it to you for less, for 270. And before that deal closes, BF will say, "No, I'll sell it to you for less, for 230, and so on. The sellers gradually outbid and exclude each other. It's the same process we saw in the case of one-sided competition among sellers. At the same time, the seller with the most urgent need to sell says, "I have to sell no matter what. I'll sell for 100. And if he sells for 100, how many buyers will want to buy at that price? They all will. So, what will happen if I want to sell for 100? And all of these people want to buy? Well, AK will say, "I'll pay you 140 or 150, and that will make BA very happy. But before the deal closes, AJ will push up the price, and AK will be excluded. And before the deal is closed with AJ, AH will push up the price, and AJ will be excluded. The buyers gradually exclude each other. This is the same process we saw in the cases of one-sided competition, both among buyers and among sellers. How far will it go? It will continue to the level of the subjective valuations which belong to what are known as the marginal pairs. Notice that in the end, the same number of people buy and sell. Specifically, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Everything else is outbid. All who buy and sell do so at the same price, a price which lies in a range between the subjective valuations of the marginal pairs. The marginal pairs are as follows. The upper pair comprises the last successful buyer and the outbid seller with the greatest capacity to make exchanges. I've written it here, you see? The last successful buyer is AE, and the outbid seller with the greatest capacity to make exchanges is BF. This is the upper marginal pair, 215 and 220. The lower marginal pair is the other pair I have marked. It comprises the last successful seller and the outbid buyer with the greatest capacity to make exchanges. The last successful seller is BE, 200. and the outbid buyer with the greatest capacity to make exchanges is AF, 210. There you have it, 200 and 210. Well, if you superimpose the two pairs, the price will lie between 210 and 215. Take note. Who makes an exchange in two-sided competition? The competitors, whether buyers or sellers, who have the greatest capability for exchange. Those willing to buy at a higher price and those willing to sell at a lower price. How many exchanges take place? In our example, 5. That is, the number of pairs who have been able to make an exchange. We see them in descending order with respect to their capability for exchange. At what price will the exchanges take place? The price will lie in a range determined by the subjective valuations of the marginal pairs I have marked here. All other valuations are irrelevant. Everyone will buy or sell his or her loaf of bread at a price between 210 and 215. Even if there is a millionaire willing to pay €1,000 for the loaf and a baker willing to sell it for 10 cents, everyone will buy or sell at the same price within this range. And next Thursday, we will look at 8 or 9 additional considerations regarding two-sided competition. Nevertheless, I repeat, the process of two-sided competition is fueled by entrepreneurship. It tends to establish a price which tends to be the only price in the market, and it relieves us of the need to haggle, as I have tried to show today with these simulated sales. Thank you all, and I'll see you next Thursday.